Welcome back to another episode of Next Level Minds. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their business, personal, or career life. Today's topics are going to be all across the board, talking about various adversities, entrepreneurship, and the CBD and hemp industry. I'm blessed to be sitting down with the CEO of Bio-lab Global, Paul Columbus, and Paul's really going to walk you through an interesting story of how he overcame a ton of failures, such as drug addiction, but turned that around to be a successful business owner that he is today. And this episode is really going to be packed with a ton of action. I wanted to personally thank each and every one of you for tuning in to today's episode of Next Level Minds. Paul, wanted to just personally thank you for coming out here, being a guest on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So based on that brief introduction I gave, I know you're the master of your own industry. Really, what do you want the listeners out there to know about you before we get started?
I'm 22 years old. I am currently the CEO of Bio-lab Global. It is a holding company of two other CBD companies. One of them is a distribution company for hemp flower. We primarily focus on that. And then the other one is actually called Bio-lab Ag. It is a genetic research and development company for different CBD strains that we are working on. So we got some really cool stuff that's going on with that too.
Sounds like you're very involved in both of them, for sure. So going back, where did you grow up and how did you kind of get into where you are now? I know you've gone through all across the board of various situations.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Wilmington, North Carolina. Now I live in Charlotte. I grew up down there, pretty normal childhood, nothing crazy. And then about the age of 14, 15, I started experimenting, with marijuana and drinking and different stuff like that. And then from there, it kind of escalated to drug use, cocaine, Xanax, Oxycontin, stuff like that. Eventually, my parents sent me away to a boarding school type thing and to try to help me. But, you can never force somebody to change. It has to, change has to come from within. So it just made things worse, and I got out of there, and 18 years old now, doing my thing, still doing drugs, and now I get into selling drugs and living that lifestyle. Eventually, I move out to California, was out there, with the whole marijuana movement, last like 5 years, about 5 years ago. And, my drug addiction just got worse because now I'm selling drugs and I'm making a lot of money, for an 18, 19-year-old kid. And so I can do whatever I want. We're doing partying all the time, doing drugs, just getting out of control. I don't really like to get too much into it, just, statute of limitations and stuff like that. But from there, I moved back to Wilmington and I got arrested, actually. Got arrested with a bunch of cocaine and Xanax and marijuana wax, like the concentrates, the oils. I was looking at going to prison with my charges I had and different stuff, and I went through a long court process. And I got some good attorneys and some good help on my side. But, while that long process was going on, I actually checked myself into rehab by myself on my own. And, I started to experience change because I realized I was always able to get by with the system. The system's pretty messed up because, here's a white, people would call it privileged kid. But they really wanted to throw the book at me and they really tried to screw me. So I had to pay a lot of money in attorney fees. But when you think about it, I really did change. And that's why the court was a little bit easier on me because my attorney was able to extend my case a little bit longer. So that way I was able to show the court that I was doing well with my life and, change started within. I went to rehab. I started looking at my life and I realized I didn't want to continue this pattern of drug addiction, drug selling, and ending up in jail because everybody gets caught. There's probably 4% of people, 5% of people, if you're really dealing drugs heavy, that don't get caught and get away from it. But you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught up in it. And it's just not worth it. And from there, I was able to get a lot of positive influences in my life through my church back home. It was really unique how it worked out because there's a guy down there, literally right after I got arrested and out of rehab, he became the college minister at my church. And, you know, we hit it off big. He was a really big influence in my life. He really helped me through that time and, you know, just was a really positive role model for me. And, you know, a lot of people just praying for me and different stuff like that. And I was able to overcome addiction. And I've probably been clean now off, you know, cocaine. I was really addicted to cocaine and Xanax. Those were my two primary drugs of choice since May of 2017 now. So, and eventually, you know, got through my court stuff, and I moved to Charlotte. I was actually going to work for another job, doing some sales and stuff. I really love sales, and I was working with my dad for a while. He has an audio-visual company, doing sales for him, being the head sales rep there. And I moved to Charlotte, was going to work another job doing sales. And then one day, my friend I've known for a long time, Austin Diggs, he's also my business partner now. He's the vice president of our company. Him and I, because he lived in Charlotte too, he was working at PNC, and him and I, you know, we were catching up. We got lunch one day, and we were just talking about, you know, like day trading and ways to make extra money and different stuff like that. You know, we're young, we're thinking of entrepreneurial things. We're both very entrepreneurial mindset.
Right.
And then we this was back in November of last year, and we had seen the CBD thing kind of starting to take off. And it wasn't to the point where it is today, where it's like everybody knows what it is. It's like talked about all the time. It was still kind of like people were figuring out and starting to hear about it. So we were talking, and we were like, we should look into this. You know, we should look into this. And I was like, okay. You know, so I got home, and over the next like week or two, you know, I started doing a lot of research, looking at different things, looking at the whole process of like CBD oil. You know, coming from a marijuana background, I knew, you know, how it's grown, you know, how you extract oils, everything like that. So, you know, CBD is not very much different because a lot of hemp strains are actually marijuana strains that have just been bred down to have, you know, less than 0.3% THC, which is the new federal law and regulation that President Trump signed in December of 2018. So from there, you know, I figured it out. I figured out what had to be done, and I started looking at, you know, we're like, okay, we put our money together. We were like, all right, let's see what we can do. What's our business strategy here? And we didn't really have like a major business strategy. We were kind of like we were looking at all the biggest thing that we saw was the CBD oil you go in the store and buy. It was like so expensive. You know, like I was seeing the prices that people were charging versus the pricing that it actually cost to make. And I'll just give you straight up how much it cost. If you were like a low level guy like us at the beginning, you know, let's just say the 500 milligram full spectrum. You know, full spectrum means that it has the full cannabinoid profile because there's isolate, full spectrum, and broad spectrum. Full spectrum has like, you know, anywhere from 6, 7, 8 to 15 cannabinoids, including CBD, CBA, CBG, like all those cannabinoids. We can get into that later, but the isolate is what everyone does the THC-free CBD oil, and it doesn't have any other cannabinoids except CBD, which is great. People love CBD, but in my opinion, I think full spectrum is better because you get a full cannabinoid profile. But the thing with the isolate is for people that have to take drug tests and different stuff like that, like government employees and stuff like that. So for the full spectrum oil, a 500 milligram bottle, which is I would say like a lower dosage, you know, the 500 to 1,000 are probably the most popular people buy. But the 500, I think, you know, our cost out the door was like $3 a bottle. Wow. Packaged everything. And then you go to the store and you see 500 milligrams for sale is like $50, $60. And I was like, we were like, what? That's crazy. Like people are making that much of a markup because it was kind of like a craze. So we were like, all right, here's our business strategy. We're going to set up a membership program to where people buy annual memberships for $100 a year, and you get way cheaper CBD pricing on our oils, which we know we're good. And people, we don't really sell oils anymore. We just do the flower now, but people still call me every day. Not every day, but like I get a couple calls a week from some customers that want small stuff. They're like, you're the best oils we've ever had, you know, because we didn't cut our stuff or anything like that, and it was real terpy and everything, and people are always still looking for it from me. But we did that membership program, and it did well. We made our bunch of batches of oil, bottled it ourselves, packaged it ourselves, everything like that. And from there, we basically just hustled every day. I mean, Austin had a job at the time, and then I was still looking at doing this sales job, but it didn't start yet. So I was just kind of doing this full time and managing everything. And then it started taking off, and we started making money. And I remember like in January, February, I would literally just sit on my phone and like just DM people all the time on the business page. Like to where like Instagram, Gary Vee talks about this, like to where you get blocked, And I was like, I would literally do that. I tell this people all the time too. Like when people are like, how can we grow our business? What can we do? I'm like, literally just like hit people up obnoxiously amount. How many people did you DM on Instagram today? Like let's say you DM 100 people, even if 1 or 2 responds or you get a sale off DMing 500 people, it's worth it.
Right.
But then it's also in the back of their minds. Like imagine the people that don't respond or buy anything. It's in the back of their minds now. They might have clicked your page, be like, oh, CBD. Okay, cool. And, maybe they go through their life and then they think CBD again and they're like, oh, yeah, this company messaged me. Like, he messaged me, oh, you can get cheaper pricing, good quality. We'll give you free samples. So you just plant seeds in their mind. And so I just kept doing that. Made a lot of connections through Instagram, actually, like surprisingly. And actually now we actually grow. We have an indoor grow. We produce high quality CBD flower. And my head grower, I actually met him on Instagram.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. So I met a lot of cool people just doing that on Instagram. And so it just progressed. And like, it was really hard to, get smaller sales. It was kind of like tedious. It's like, all right, it's kind of like sitting on your computer, like, am I going to get sales? Like starting a new business. So then I looked into doing more wholesale stuff. And then I just started hustling the wholesale stuff too. And we had our website and everything. And then eventually the people I was running into wholesale would always ask for the hemp flower. The hemp flower now it looks just like marijuana, but it doesn't have any THC in it. It has that less than 0.3% or whatever THC, and it's just full of CBD. So then that was really where it was like where we really took off is when I started messing around with that and, putting a lot of money into that. And then we just, we realized, okay, we need more capital in order to do larger deals with this because everybody wanted it. It's like one of those things that you got to put a lot of money into it and you can get like a nice 10 to 20% return from it, but it's going to sell fast like that because everybody wants it. And so we went and got a loan. We had some capital built up, and we had tons of oil still. So we had, like what I guess you could call equity or not equity, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Collateral. So we had like, 80 grand worth of oil as collateral, had like 25 grand cash, in the bank. So, we had something to where we went and tried to start looking to get a loan to like, try to, increase stuff. And my business partner's dad and his partner, they actually have a holding company that they, do investments. They're kind of like Shark Tank. They look for things to want to make cash. So, we went to his dad, and he was all for it. His dad was, but his partner was very, very skeptical.
Right.
He was like, I don't know. He was like very worried. But they gave us a loan. They're like, all right, let's try it. They gave us a loan, and we repaid them in 20 days. They were expecting a 90-day repayment. We repaid them in 20 days with 10% interest, and we made a bunch of our own capital from it to where we could operate. Because we were going to prove to you guys. We're going to prove to you guys. So we did. And from there, they were very interested in the industry now. So from there, we kept doing our thing, grinding, just doing the flower sales for a minute. And then finally, we put together another proposal for them to, so there's like, different grades of the flower. There's outdoor, you think about, marijuana, same thing. There's outdoor, greenhouse, indoor. So right now with the CBD flower over in Europe, they've been doing it a lot longer. So they have way better quality over in Europe. And it's a lot more greenhouse and indoor. No, they don't really smoke the outdoor, but here everyone does the outdoor. And I see the wave coming with the indoor. So we put together a proposal to do a massive indoor grow. So it took us, a little bit to get it all together and figure out all the costs and everything. So we presented it to them, and they liked it. So they're like, all right, let's do it. So we started looking for the facility and everything. And it took a little while to find exactly where we wanted to do it and everything. But then as we kept doing our distribution side of the thing, solution side of the thing, it kept growing and growing. So they wanted to get part of that as well. So we were like, so then basically after, some discussion and everything, we partnered up with them now, and we formed one holding company, Bio-lab Global. I'm 50% owner. Them as the investors. Well, we also had our own capital that we contributed to it, that we made. So we put all of our money that we made back into the holding company, and then they put some money in there, and we also have more money we can pull from and everything like that. So we made the holding company that operates our two companies now, which is Solution and Bio-lab Ag, and they flow up to our new company. And that's just kind of what we're doing right now. It's harvest season. We're grinding right now, super busy. I probably slept since Monday night, I probably slept 25 hours this week.
Wow.
We've been grinding. We're going hard right now.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of cool things going on. That's kind of just basically in a nutshell of what's going on.
Yeah. What I really like is when you first started up until now, you've constantly been pivoting. You've constantly been adding new additions to your business, taking some things away. And another key point, what I really liked, is when you first originally, hey, Austin, let's launch this business, you immediately thought of, hey, what's a differentiator that we can have? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs want to start a business, but they really don't come up with a good differentiator. And then it's, okay, you just have the same product or same service as the next guy.
Yep.
And also, I know I've been on a few meetings with you, and you seem as if, at least on those meetings, you're very respected in the industry, which is another huge asset, too, I think, to being a business owner.
Yeah, a lot of people now know who I am.
Yeah.
I would honestly say that we are probably the largest flower distributor in North Carolina. I don't think, maybe the Southeast, I don't think we're there yet. I mean, we have a lot of stuff. So with the outdoor crop, going back to that, it's planted between the months of May and July, and then harvested between the months of end of August until the beginning of November. So right now we're in harvest season. It's full force right now. We have a lot of contracts lined up with some mega farms. Actually, we have, today's Sunday, on Tuesday, a mega farm from Kentucky is coming down, and we're signing a deal for 200,000 pounds of smokable flower.
Wow.
So my goal from now until July 1st is to sell 1 million pounds of flour. That's my goal. I have it written in my bathroom on the wall there. I want to be the largest distributor on the East Coast by the end of this year, beginning of next year. And then we flip to the Bio-lab Ag side. That's our growing side, where we're doing the high-quality indoor flower. We're making new hemp strains. We're cross-breeding stuff. And we're going to next year ramp up the Bio-lab Ag to where we sell clones for farmers. Well, basically what we're going to do is we're making these new strains now. We're going to have them available to the public in March. They can start making orders for clones. And now clones are, you cut them from a mother plant. So you grow the mother plant, you don't flower it out, you put it on a different light cycle than the bud you flower out, like indoor. And you can clip clones from them, and you put them in other cubes to where you can sell them to people and they can grow it themselves. So my goal for next year is to do 10 million clones, sell 10 million clones. So we're basically initiating a buyback program so we can continue our distribution side from our Bio-lab Ag side to where they buy the clones from us on Bio-lab Ag. We enter into an agreement with them to where now we coach these farmers, because a lot of these farmers are old tobacco farmers, corn farmers, stuff like that. So they think, oh, we can just grow cannabis. There's a lot of crappy product that's being grown right now. So we're trying to, okay, you buy our clones from us. It's superior genetics. It's genetics nobody has on the market. We get exclusive rights with you guys. You guys grow it. I have a team of growers I have 4 growers on my team right now. Combined, they have 130 years of cannabis growing experience. So we know what we're doing. And so we're going to coach these guys next year. They're going to buy our clones. We're going to coach them. And then we're going to buy all the product back from them and distribute it. So we can basically build our own army.
Right.
So,
So going back, let me ask this. Obviously, you're a very successful business owner. You have the 4 growers. You have a whole team. You're building an army. When you were going through the drug addiction at the time, did you think in the back of your head, like, I'm going to be a business owner one day? Or how did you kind of just make that switch?
Dude, I had no, I didn't go to college or anything. I was making fast money. I was, selling drugs. I was doing other things. I was flipping cars. I'd go to auctions. I was doing, I was very entrepreneurial, but it was in a negative way instead of a positive way. And I don't know. I never thought I was going to own a business.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to sell drugs forever. That's literally what I thought to myself. I was like, I just want to make like $2 million.
Right.
And then I'm just going to chill and just do my thing.
Yeah.
That's literally what I thought. I didn't have any direction. That was literally like what I thought in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a couple of years, like 5-6 years, I'll make $2 million. No taxes, selling drugs. I had no direction. I didn't know what I was going to do, So I got, when I got arrested, it pulled me back to reality, When you're just at like a low point and you're like, oh shit. What do I do? Like,
Right.
Your back's against the wall. Just a lot of things go through your mind. And, when I went to rehab, I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that. We were out in the mountains. So there's a lot of time to clear your head and start thinking. And still then, I never thought I was going to be a business owner. I was just trying to think, what if I can reset my life and figure out what I'm going to do? I could probably end up having a good job in 3 years or, something like that.
Yeah. Do you think with adversities, failures, and especially drug addiction, do you think it takes a big stopping point of a bad thing like getting arrested, et cetera, happening to kind of make the switch, or do you think you can kind of just make that on your own?
It's really hard to make it on your own. People, places, and things, that's what they tell you a lot. Who you're hanging around with, where you're hanging out, and like things you're doing. Like they talk about triggers. And those 3 things, people, places, and things, all of those have triggers. So it's like you gotta get away from all those things, number one, and get new people, places, and things that are positive to get away from those triggers. And, in terms of getting arrested and everything, for some people it works. For some people it takes them 10 times to get it right. Thankfully, it took me... I still don't got it right. I still have a lot of things I struggle with. But, it took me that one time to be like, oh, shit, I need to get it together.
Right.
So and for people that do it on their own without having to get arrested, kudos to them. That's something that's just crazy. Like, it's, I hear of it sometimes, but it's like a very rare thing, I feel like.
Right. Mm-hmm. What are some steps that people could take just to start surrounding themselves with appropriate people, places, and things, as you mentioned before?
With that kind of question, it really depends on where they are at in their life. If they're at a point of like super drug addiction, doing dope, doing super hard drugs, needing it every day, things like that, at that point, it's like you literally have to like throw your phone in the ocean or get rid of your phone and just get away from everything. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It just depends what stage, I guess, you are in your life. So
yeah. So I definitely think that having appropriate people around you do really make it change your environment that you're in. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with me when I had a positive influence through that time in my life. That really helped a lot. So not everybody gets to be blessed with having that. So
definitely. I know some things I've done to just really change the people and the environment that I'm in is really take a hard look at your day, kind of do a hard audit of your day to day, right? And that can really help. So what was it like when you were first building your company, right? I know you mentioned you were on Instagram, DMing people back and forth, 18-hour days. Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, at first we didn't really do 18-hour days, but I mean, we're still building. I mean, this past week I've done 18-hour days probably every day, and it never stops. But at the beginning, you just kind of have to just keep going. And a lot of people, when they start businesses, they're gonna fail. Things aren't gonna go right. Because I feel like a lot of times people, they get an idea And they're like, okay, well, if I can start a business, do all these things, make some good money, build some good connections, they think it's going to happen like quicker than it does. Sometimes it could take 6 months. Sometimes it could take a year. Sometimes it could take 5 years to get to the point in your head, because everyone imagines you always hear that stupid thing. It's like living my best life. I hate that phrase. And but people think in their brains, in their mind, they're always like, where's my best life? And people with the entrepreneurial that's starting businesses, they always think at the beginning like, all right, they see themselves where they want to be, but it takes a lot to get there. So at first, you just need to be able to take failure, be able to take critics, be able to take the haters, be able to take people that just don't want anything to do with you, that you reach out to and are trying to network with. You just have to take it.
Right.
You got to be able to take a lot of shit. So, if you're a person that can't, a lot of people are really soft in this world today. That's the environment we are in. And if you're a person that gets easily offended, you're not going to be able to build a business.
Right.
Because you got to take a lot of shit from people. So that's one thing. You got to be able to just keep going. And, you'll get to the point, if you're doing things correctly, eventually you'll get to the point where you're succeeding and just crushing it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What do you think some strategies are out there just to have better patience when starting a business? Because I struggle with that all the time of instant gratification. That's the culture that we live in. So, what are some strategies to have good patience with that?
The best strategy I could say is every day, if you're trying to build your business and you're trying to have patience to where it's like, okay, now we're booming, you got to be doing something every day to where you're going to be booming. So the best thing for patience would be just keep going hard every day, and if you get to a point where it's like, okay, I've been going hard every day for 6 months. I've truly been going hard. I haven't been half-assing it. I've been going hard for 6 months, and I'm not seeing the results I want. At that point, maybe you should reach out to somebody. Maybe you should pay for some consulting. But not just everybody. Everyone's a consultant nowadays. Everyone thinks they're a consultant. But you need to find the right people in your industry that are doing it right and go to them and say, here's what I've been doing. What have I been doing wrong? And maybe they can help you adjust your blueprint and stuff like that. But at first, you need to be going hard every day. But if you're half-assing it, if you're half-assing, I won't even do it.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah.
So
I know you've pivoted a lot in your business, adding different services, taking away certain products. Is there a certain timeline that business owners should pivot, or what are some things that come up that you realize you need to pivot in your business?
You need to pivot every day. I pivot every day. I wake up and think we're going to do one thing. Something goes wrong. All right, this is what we're going to do instead, and we get something done that's going to build what we're building. So if you're an entrepreneur, you can have a game plan in your head of what a day is going to go like, but you got to be pivoting every day. It's not like, okay, well, let's try this strategy for a month or something like that, or let's try to pursue this option, and then you could be just waiting for weeks on end to do this option. In the meantime, all right, this is not working out. Whatever situation. I'll give you an example. Right now we're in harvest season. We're building our indoor grow. We're doing different stuff, and I'm getting these phone calls. Like 2 weeks ago, I would not have thought of doing this. 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, no, because I thought about it before, and I was like, no, it's such a waste of time, energy. I'm not going to bother with it. I'm getting these phone calls of these farmers, and they're like, hey, our hemp crop's done. What do we do? We don't know what to do. Going back to what I was saying earlier about we got to coach some of these farmers. That's why we're trying to build this program to where we do a buyback program, coach them. Farmers that grew this year, they're like, we don't even know what to do with it. So I'm getting phone calls. And finally, I'm like, all right. I woke up one day, I was like, all right, I literally thought this Tuesday night, and I needed to be somewhere Wednesday. I had to have workers. So literally Tuesday night, I thought, okay, I'm gonna get a group of people. We're gonna go cut this field. I'm gonna buy it by the plant for super cheap. I'm gonna go buy it by the plant, buy 6 acres, go buy it by the plant, take it back to my facility, dry it, cure it, do all the work. So literally Tuesday night, I was like, I needed 6 workers by Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. I hit people up. I drove to Raleigh at 2 in the morning, picked up a group of 6 workers up there. for some labor, drove back, got them in the field, and just put them to work, had a supervisor go out with them and start going ham. You got to be able to pivot every day because, like, that right there, that was an opportunity to make a good profit. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And I put it on the fly like that. I was like, I'm not going to go to bed tonight. I'm going to drive to Raleigh at 2 a.m., make it happen. You got to be able to do whatever it takes to be a successful business owner. You can't be like, I don't want to do that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. You have to be able to do whatever it takes, you know?
Right.
So.
Right. What are some strategies that you take when you have to pivot like that kind of take away the stress? Because I try to pivot all the time in my day-to-day, and then sometimes the stress gets to me and things start spiraling out of control, right? So what are some strategies that you take to conquer that stress, I would say?
To conquer that stress, for me, it's really like when I'm getting super overwhelmed, super stressed, I like to just kind of, the biggest thing is like, I feel like the phone makes me more stressed. You know, having my phone on me, like people calling me, it's blowing up, like distractions on the phone. I like to just put it all down for a second, take maybe 10, 20 minutes, and just sit in peace and quiet and just meditate. You know, that's my biggest thing for stress. Other things I do, you know, call my girlfriend. You know, that always helps too. You know, because she's always like, "You're being dramatic," you know,
right.
and I'm like, "All right, you're right. Yeah, I am." So she's right. So that helps me too. So I don't manage stress the best. I'll be honest. I get very overwhelmed. I'm like, I start getting in my head. I'm like, oh no, like no, this could happen. This could happen. We need to do that. I don't know. So you just got to be able to just take a second. You literally just take a second, walk away from the situation, put your phone away, and just relax, breathe. That's the best advice I have. I'm not the best handler of stress, to be honest with you.
I know something that I've recently done. I'm all about morning routine, and I don't touch my phone. I get up around 5:30, but I don't touch my phone until 7:15. And throughout, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, it's no phone, no distractions, because everything at that time is in my control until I pick up my phone, start seeing the emails come in, DMs come in, have to solve this fire, et cetera, et cetera. So I definitely agree with you on the no phone.
Yeah, it's a major thing, especially in today's world. I feel like your phone makes you way more stressed. I literally don't think people could go like a whole 48 hours without touching their phone. You know?
So true.
You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned this earlier when you're building a business, reaching out to other guys in your prospective industry of steps that you can take to grow and, you know, help pivot you in a different direction. Do you think that in order to build a business, you have to have a mentor? Is there any other ways that you don't have to have one?
I don't think you have to have like a guy, you know, it's very helpful to have a guy you can call on your phone and be like, you know, what do I do about this? But you don't have to have one. All the answers are out there. You just got to find them. I think everybody needs to be listening to, for me at first, one thing with battling drug addiction and everything like that, I started listening to Grant Cardone a lot. I only listened to him. I didn't spend time literally listening to anybody else. I would only listen to him because I feel like when you listen to too many of these famous guys, like they pull you in different directions. You got to find one of those guys that you like and that line up with what you're trying to do, and listen to them and just keep doing what they suggest. Read their books and different stuff like that. Because I think when you start to listen to too many people, you get pulled in too many different directions. And so I definitely encourage everybody to, you know, find a person like that at least. But in terms of like having a personal mentor, I don't think it's necessary. It helps for sure. And it really just depends what industry you're in, you know? So.
Are you a big reader, or are you more audio, or kind of what's your way for that?
I'm definitely more audio.
Right.
I don't spend the time to sit down and read.
Yeah.
I'd rather put it on my car. I drive a lot. I drive an absurd amount, so I definitely like to put it on in the car. Even when I'm just on my phone watching different videos, short videos, you know, I'm not much of a reader, but you know.
Right. So let's walk through this. Let's say the listeners out there, they have a business idea. They complete their, business model, et cetera, et cetera. They come up with a differentiator. They're getting a little bit of traction in their company. What are some steps to really acquire funding? I know that's a big hot topic right now.
Funding. I don't know. there's a lot of ways you can acquire funding. I mean, the best one would be to OPM other people's money, and that starts with the bank. Now, it's not easy for a 22-year-old kid to go to the bank and say, I need $50,000. They're probably not going to give it to you.
Right.
But one way is you could reach out to friends, family, put together a successful business idea. The only thing about that is, you could burn some bridges in your life with friends and family. And then I would also say networking. I know in Charlotte, there's a lot of networking events. I was trying to go to the one with you the other night, but I was just way too busy. I really wanted to go because I'm trying to go to more networking events. And so networking is one way I feel like people could definitely do that. Just reaching out to other people.
Yeah.
So, and, OPM, that's really big, other people's money. Let's say you are 22, 25, whatever, business owner, and you got some good credit, and you maybe got like a $50,000 credit limit. I would burn through that credit card. Not buying like stupid stuff for yourself, but buying stuff that's going to make you money. That's what I would say about that.
Right.
Not only spending that credit card on something that's going to make you money for your business.
For sure. I know networking events. I've been going to a lot of those recently. And my old model of going to those, I say, I need to get as many business cards as I can, as many contacts, and it would be kind of just a micro speed. But now when I go to them, I say, all right, I'm just going to get one thing productive out of this, and it's actually worked a lot better. So the one I went to that you weren't able to attend, unfortunately, but I had a conversation with the guy. I said, hey, my business partners and I are building this company. We're kind of starting out our MVP for our app. And he was like, oh, okay. And he connected me to this one software developer who started an app around here. Now him and I are grabbing some coffee or lunch in about a week and a half. And I'm like, that was a win. I was there for an hour and a half, and I would have probably never met this guy if I wasn't at the event. So I think that's a lot better than just trying to acquire, 30 business cards.
Yeah, I feel like if you're not really focusing on... Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, if you're like, all right, I need to get as many business cards, you're not focusing your time on one person to where it's like, if you would have just got his business card, maybe you guys would have never got that conversation because it wouldn't have been that deep into a conversation,
Right. So what do you do? This has come up a lot on my end, some of my peers, and let's say you have some close family or even friends, that are, they just don't believe in your idea. They're like, why are you trying to build this business? Do you completely separate yourself from them, or what's kind of your strategy there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's like some close friends or family and they're like, why are you doing this? It's a waste of your time. You should be focusing on your 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. Nah, you gotta just, if it's like some family, you can't completely cut off your family, but you could maybe just limit yourself to them. If they're going to not support you, you don't need to have that in your life. If it's close friends that aren't family, I would cut them out. I'd be like, you don't believe in me? You don't believe what I'm trying to do? I would cut them out because that negativity is going to prevent you. You are what you put if you're surrounding yourself with positivity and pouring that into your life, that's the result you're going to have.
Right.
If negative people are holding you back, you could still get there, but it's going to be like way harder to get there. It's gonna make you feel like you're like trying to walk through mud, instead of walking on cement. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So, what was one of your biggest, I guess, learning lessons? I know you've gone through a lot of them, but with just entrepreneurship and starting a business in general.
The biggest learning lesson is how I treat people. Because I can be a real asshole to people. And so that's something I've really been working on the past 2 months. So definitely just treating people right, because you never know. Even if you think they're like, oh, this person is irrelevant to me. I've had customers, and especially in this industry, there's a lot of haters and shit. And I feel like 75% of people like me and 25% of people will hate me. It is what it is. And yeah, the biggest thing is just treating people better, because you never know where even the biggest asshole customer or supplier, just treat them good. Don't give it back to them.
Right. Is that kind of the motto of the customer's always right, or?
The customer, it is not always right.
Right.
But you can make them feel like they're always right. That's what you got to do. Just make them feel like they're always right.
Right. For sure. So where can people find you, learn more about you, your business, different things you're getting into right now?
So I'm not really much of a social media guy. We had a business account, but we kind of dissolved it, and I kind of use it as like a collaboration page on Instagram. It's called Not a Broker, because there's a lot of brokers. Like, brokers are good for real estate and stuff like that, but for the CBD industry, brokers are horrible. I do not like brokers. They mess up deals. Since the CBD and hemp industry is exploding, they're just trying to ride coattails. They don't have capital to do things. They literally just try to connect people and try to make their little chump change, and they actually mess up deals. So that's why I call my page Not a Broker. It's not _a_broker. You can find me on Instagram there. We are setting up our new websites and everything like that for our new companies. I'm not really involved in that, but again, our main holding company is Bio-lab Global, biolabglobal.com. Then we have Bio-lab Agriculture and SolutionUS.
Okay.
So
Great. So final advice, if you just had to, put one word of acquiring success, whether it's hustle, grit, trust, relationships, what would that be off the top of your head?
wit, whatever it takes.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Next Level Minds. I know, just summarizing some things Paul said, is it really takes a lot of work and patience to start your business. It's not going to come overnight. It also takes some hand-to-hand combat. I mean, if you look at what Paul did of constantly sending DMs on Instagram, reaching out, acquiring deals, it also takes that as well, of getting down in the trenches. And lastly, adversities are always out there, but again, just keep putting in the work, keep putting in a massive amount of patience, and you will get out of it. And also surround yourself with the appropriate people, places, and things is something that I really got out of this. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Next Level Minds. If you guys could please share this with a friend who you think needs to hear it, go ahead and subscribe on iTunes at Next Level Minds. Follow the Instagram page, Next Level Minds Podcast, for some live updates. And once again, as we like to say here at Next Level Minds, your mindset is your greatest weapon for the battle of success.